wealthy people what? Buy life insurance, right? What do, I hate to say, but what do poor people or poor-minded people do? They buy debt.
Welcome to the Unknown Options, a place where we explore the unknown options. Today, we have a special guest, his second appearance, Bokar, my good friend. We're going to be going on a slightly different topic today, insurance. Bokar, tell people what you do and your experience working in the insurance industry.
Of course, of course. Well, so first off, I would like to say thank you, Will, for bringing me back on here. It's always a good time with you. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, so my name is Bokar Diaby, owner and founder of the New Standard Financial, the New Standard Financial Agency, and I work in life insurance and retirement planning. So, to answer your question, Will, what I believe like your question was what is life insurance, right?
Yeah, so I guess I want us to imagine like my audience is like just a bunch of like not idiots, or not idiots, but
Of
like
course.
uninformed people. So define, I guess, what type of, I know you mentioned life. So what type of insurance you sell,
Yeah.
and then what insurance is in general, like in simple terms.
Okay, so in simple terms, just like a broad, like to just income, because there's insurance for everything, right? There's life insurance, there's health insurance, there's disabilities insurance, there's I found out the other day there's cancer insurance. So like there's insurance that covers you in the event that you develop cancer and nothing else, right? Um, there's uh there's burial insurance. There's there's boat insurance. So like whenever you want to own a boat, you have to have insurance. There's actually yacht insurance too. So whenever anyone buys a yacht, they have to have insurance. So and then there's renters insurance. We know what renters insurance is. There's mortgage insurance. So there's insurance for everything. Like there's even insurance for your phone, right?
Yep.
So what insurance is, to simply explain it, is insurance is something that covers something of value at an event where something bad happens. Okay. So for example, if we take a look at the event that happened with Astro World with Travis Scott, I want to say about a year to two ago.
Yeah.
So whenever like artists throw events like this, right? Because once again, I said everything has insurance, right? So whenever
Yeah.
an artist throw a concert or a festival, they have to have a certain amount of insurance in case something happens, right? So in his case, he didn't have enough insurance, so that's what messed him up. And now, as you can see, he hasn't been doing any more Astro World festivals, but just to simply explain it, that's what insurance is, right? Now, what I work in specifically is life insurance, and I like to say life insurance and retirement planning, because there's a lot to life insurance that meets the eye. There's a lot to life insurance that a lot of people don't really know. But long story short, life insurance is one, it protects your life, right? But two, yeah, it protects your life in the event that you pass away, right? We all know that, right? Because that's what most people think of when they hear about life insurance. But it also covers you in the event where you're still alive, like something happens, whether you get sick or anything like that, but you're still alive, and that's the part that I really want to emphasize today, just because everybody understands from the point of view from when you die, but most people don't realize that the purpose of life insurance is really for when you're alive. I'm always like to say whenever I sit down with any clients that if life insurance was meant for when you die, it would be called death insurance, right? Life insurance was meant Life insurance is meant for when you're alive, which is why they call it life insurance. But yeah.
I love it. Okay, yeah, this good. We're gonna go into this one. Just to play devil's advocate real quick. I'm African American, and in our community, we call a lot of things scams. And oh my God, they kind of get you. What how is life in? I know it's not. I have life insurance, but what would you say to someone that says like, "Oh, life insurance is a scam. You're trying to sell me on something that I don't need"?
Okay. So the first question that I always ask is, how is life insurance a scam, right? So the way that I like to solve issues is by asking good questions. I personally don't like to make make statements, right?
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, I want to understand where someone is coming from. Like, hey, why do you think it's a scam? Whenever I ask that question, most people say, "Oh, I heard that it's like a Ponzi scheme." Oh, I heard that. It's a scam because XYZ. I had a relative that got insurance, but then it didn't pay out because of XYZ, and this, that, and the fourth, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of the times it's either through hearing it from other individuals. So when people when people go that route, the then now I have some clarifying questions. Okay, great. So one, were they what? Do you know what type of insurance it was? Right, because there's some type of insurance policies where you literally got to keep paying the premium until the event happens, right? Or
Mm.
there's some type of life insurance policies where you don't you can stop funding it at a certain time and you get to keep it so those are called permanent. Like there's term and there's perm. Term stands for temporary, perm stands for permanent, right?
Okay.
But yeah, so then I asked, okay, was the insurance agent a good agent, right? Did they read the contract, right? A lot of the times people like to, I don't know, for example, like I've come across a lot of individuals who would have like Ger a Gerber insurance, yeah, Gerber insurance, and it was a policy that their parents got on them when they were younger,
Mm.
or yeah. So, but like, why would you why would you get life insurance from a baby food a company that that don't make sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Or for example, they'll have life insurance with State Farm. Well, what does State Farm specialize in? They specialize in auto
I
insurance
don't
and rental insurance, right? So why
know.
would you get life insurance from a car insurance place? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
things like that. It's like going to a Mexican restaurant and ordering like a burger or steak. Like
Yeah.
it don't make
Yeah.
any sense, right?
Yeah.
So there's questions like that I ask, right?
Mhm.
Now there is this book that I read in the past. I read it like about like 2 years ago, or about like 2 or 3 years ago, around the time when I got into the insurance industry, and it's
Mhm.
called The Color of Money, right?
Mhm.
It's called The Color of Money. Pretty much, it talks about like Black Wall Street, but then also building wealth in the Black community. And a
Mhm.
chapter inside it talked about an article that was written back during the time of segregation, and it was an article that pretty much said, "Oh, African Americans died too young," right? So
Mhm.
African Americans died too young, or died too soon, right? And so because of that article was put out, there was actually a period in time where life insurance companies banned African Americans from getting insurance, right? It's stuff that
Mhm.
most people don't know, right? But the part that the article failed to explain is, well, we're dying too soon because white people are out here killing us, not trying
Yeah.
to race into it, but this is what
Yeah.
happened in history, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, over time, right? Over time, there was an entire like gap and lack of trust that was built within between the African American community and life insurance, life insurance companies, because the thing about it is, let me put it like this, okay? So is it a requirement to have car insurance?
Yes. I believe
Yes,
so.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
requirement. Like you can't drive a car off the lot without having insurance on it, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you rent an apartment, what's one thing you have to have before you can even get the keys? Rent insurance, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you're financing a home, right, you have to have mortgage insurance, right? Most homes
Mhm.
require mortgage insurance, right? The bank won't give you the loan
Man.
and the keys until you have mortgage insurance and you maintain your mortgage insurance, right? Now, once you
Mm.
pay off the house, now they don't care, right?
Yeah.
Banks, whenever you walk into a bank, what's like a sticker that's like sitting at the bank? What is it? It's FDIC insurance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
FDIC, that's insurance, right? Every major every major thing of value in this country has insurance on it, right?
Mm.
The only thing that is not required to have life insurance is what?
Your life.
Your life. The people who are paying for these things, right? Like they don't require you to have life insurance on your life, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, they don't even require health insurance either. But that's a separate a topic, right? But they
Yeah.
don't have but they don't require life insurance. So because of that, you're not being marketed to, right? It's not like they're
Yeah.
coming to you, right? You see commercials on car insurance, right? You see
Yeah.
commercials, right? But you don't
Yeah.
see commercials on life insurance as often, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why is because if I'm just being very blunt, America don't care about you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Nah.
They
Yeah.
they don't really care. Like they don't really care about you. They only
Yeah.
care about the things that that is valuable to them. Like for example, a car. Whenever you get in a car accident, it doesn't cover you. It covers the thing of value, the car.
Yeah.
Whenever
Yeah.
your apartment burns down, it doesn't cover your stuff. It covers like renter's insurance. It covers the actual like basic renter's insurance. Now, if you get some extra things inside your renter's insurance, it'll cover your property. But
Yeah.
if you get harmed in the process, it doesn't cover you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like none of that covers you, right? So the way to actually honestly the only way to actually get and understand life insurance is through a life insurance agent, right?
Mm.
Now, statistically, in the insurance industry, the average agent in the insurance industry is a 61-year-old Caucasian male, right?
Mm.
Great. So they're typically 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they're about to retire, right?
Yeah.
So, but because the average agent in the insurance industry, like it's this like the white community knows that like insurance is like a place where people go to well it's a space that people work in to retire sooner, right?
Mm.
um so with that being said, there's a lot of people, especially like back in the 1980s and 1990s, and early 2000s as well too, that got into the insurance industry, right?
Mm.
So but human beings as a whole, we typically buy products and do business with those who look, talk, and act like us.
Yeah.
So
100%.
if the average agent in the industry is a 61-year white guy, who is he typically talking to?
People that look like him and is around the
Exactly.
same age.
Right, yeah. So then who gets left behind?
That people that don't look like him.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's just it. So we're not really even being marketed to, even from a standpoint of like, for example, the media as well too, right?
Yeah.
So for like example, have you ever watched a golf or tennis tournament at all
I've seen tennis. I haven't seen golf
on
tournament.
TV, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So are the commercials similar or different than if you're watching the NBA or the NFL?
They're definitely different.
They're different, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
definitely.
Why? So
Different
so
audience.
right, exactly, right. So if you watch a golf or tennis tournament, some of the commercials involve insurance.
Mm.
Why? Because golf and tennis is a wealthy people sport. Wealthy people what? Buy life insurance, right? What do I hate to say, but what do poor people or poor-minded people do? They buy debt. So
Yeah.
what types of commercials do they show you whenever you're watching the NBA or the NFL? Cars, car insurance. They show you like student loan related stuff. They show you house related stuff, or you should buy a house today, Like they
Yeah.
just or like chips.
Yeah.
America is one of the most obese countries in the one of the most I'm just being honest.
Nah, you're right.
It's one of the most obese and out of shape countries in the world, right?
Yeah.
So they show you all of these things, right? And it just shows that it even goes down to the way we're marketed to, right? So we're not being marketed from a standpoint of like the type of people or the average agent in the industry, but we're also not being marketed to when it comes to, like the media as well too, because, it's the same thing as, like, for example, you'll never catch Lamborghini or Ferrari with a commercial. Why? Because that would that would be so much money wasted in marketing, because the people that can afford a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, they're typically not sitting at home watching the
Yeah.
NBA
Yeah.
or the NFL, if I'm being
You're
honest with
right.
you. Right? But
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay. I like it. Now, this is good. I know you mentioned term and permanent
firm. Yeah,
insurance. So that goes into another question. How should people go about determining which type of insurance they need?
yeah. So okay, so so and an industry standard, right? An industry standard when it comes to determining how much life insurance somebody needs. So for one, it should be from your insurance agent, but you know, if I'm being honest with you, not all insurance agents are good insurance agents, right?
Yeah.
If I'm being very blunt, once again, which I feel like the same thing, it's the same thing in every industry. Some people are too much in it for the money, right?
Yeah.
Because you can actually make a lot of money in insurance, but it's the same thing with real estate. Like, some people
Yeah.
get into real estate just for the money, and they don't care if they screw over clients. Some
Yeah.
people get into the medical industry just for the money, right?
Yeah.
Like, it involves, like that encompasses a lot. But if someone themselves wants to know, how much insurance do I need? There's this industry standard called DIME, right?
Mm.
So DIME so the D stands for debt, right? The I stands either debt or death, right?
Okay.
The I stands for income. The M stands for mortgage, right? If you have a mortgage,
Okay.
and the E stands for expenses or education, right? So this is
Okay.
like a simple way. So the way you can do a self assessment is this. So D, debt or death. The one. So when it comes to death, how much, and these are things that people don't like to think about, but the one thing that's guaranteed in life
Yeah.
is you're gonna pass away at some point. You don't
Yeah.
know how. You don't know how, but you're gonna pass away at some point. That's one thing that's guaranteed in life. There's
Yeah.
there's not many things that are guaranteed in life, but that's one thing
Yeah.
that's guaranteed, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So with that being said, death. Do you want so how do you want your funeral to be set up? Do you want it to be set up like a celebration? Da, da, do you want a tombstone? Do you want XYZ? Okay, great. The A funeral home is a business at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
So those things cost money. Do you want your family to have to, and do you want your family to be burdened with that, or do you not? One
Yeah.
of the biggest issues that family members have amongst each other is whenever somebody passes away. Whenever somebody passes away, what they tend to do is they look at the person that makes the most money. And they're like, "Hey, you should cover it." And then that person's like, "No, we should all split it." And then it just starts to have an issue, right? So,
Mm.
but yeah, so okay, great. So the average funeral, the average funeral, if you include like the plot, the casket, the tombstone, all that good stuff, is like 15,000, right? Great.
Mm.
Now debt. How much debt do you have, right? You have student loans, right? Most people don't realize that if they don't pay off their student loan, it gets passed down to either their spouse, their kids, their partner, like, or their siblings or relatives as well
You
too.
can get passed on to kids?
Yeah, you can.
Sheesh.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like, just the same way you can pass down wealth, you can pass down debt.
True.
You see what I mean?
True.
But yeah. So do you have debt? Do you have the medical debt? Okay. Do you have personal loans? Do you have student loans? Like, so accumulate all of the debt that you have. So let's say, for this example that we have, let's say someone has $50,000 in debt. Okay. So we already said so we already said 15 for, yeah, we already said 15 for the death, and then $50,000 for the debt, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's right there. That's a minimum of $65,000 of life insurance, right? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Now on to right? Income, right? So what is your annual income, right? Sa- is sa- sis- as, as salary wise. So let's say it's a man, he's married with kids, has 100,000, makes 100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, the question that I always ask is, would you like to take care of your family if one day you were gone? The
Yeah.
answer is always yes, of course, right?
Yeah.
So what you typically want to do is multiply that by, let's say, either 5 or 10. So I like to do 10. The reason why I
Mm-hmm.
do 10 is because if we're, at the end of the day, most of the time when the breadwinner of the household passes away, or it doesn't even have to be the breadwinner, one of the breadwinners, right? Let's say a two-parent household, if one of the breadwinners pass away, the family, most Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So
Yeah.
when one passes away, it messes up the finances
Yeah.
automatically, right?
Yeah.
If the family is if the family has a mortgage, now they're falling behind on their mortgage, right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
can't keep them paying. And then
Yeah.
what starts to happen? They have to foreclose on a home. That takes wealth out of the black family and puts it somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the question is, would you like to take care of your family even if you weren't there, right? Great. Yes. If you multiply whatever someone's salary is by 10, what that means is that family will be able to continue living for 10 years to figure out how they can get back on their feet so they won't miss the stuff. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not to, and to put things into perspective, 100 whenever someone makes a salary of 100,000, that's not what they keep. After taxes is probably like what in the state of North Carolina is 70 or something like that, and in New York and California is 60K.
Yeah.
This is 100, yeah, so they would get 100,000 times 10, so a million tax free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now they have a million, right? What most people do is they would put that kind of money into a trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like have you ever watched Power?
I've seen the first episode. The first
Okay,
episode.
but you get the gist from like the
Yeah.
like that where
Yeah.
like Ghost passes away. We know how he passes away, right? And he left an inheritance. He left an inheritance for Tariq, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that inheritance had conditions. Like Tariq had to finish school to get all of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a trust allows you to put conditions in place in order to, right? So, but the reason why I brought up Power is the money that's inside most trusts is life insurance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so you can put conditions in place so your family don't just randomly just use up all of the money, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if these people were living paycheck to paycheck, then they're gonna blow a million. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
But yeah. So okay, great. So after we have that in, yeah. So after we do that, M is mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone has a mortgage, if they don't have to worry about it. But if they have a mortgage, let's say the mortgage, what you have left on your mortgage is, let's say, 150K or 200K. You need to add that amount, right? In the event that you pass away, the mortgage is paid for, right? Great.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that allow them? What that allows is this. What that allows for is this. Let's say that, and this is like kind of a little bit advanced of, but let's say the mortgage is done, great. Now that family one don't have the burden of the mortgage having to pay that off, and to give them more options because later down the road they can pull out equity and start, let's say, start investing in rental property with that equity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just gives more options. And then
Right.
E for education, and or expenses, right? So expenses kind of fall in line with income, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because right. So let's just take a look at education for a second. So most parents would like to finance college for their kids if they could.
Yeah.
That's where education comes into play, right?
Mm.
Or most men, being breadwinners of the household, most men, if they pass away, would like for their wife to be able to handle everything. And a part of that is having money set aside for education so the wife can go out and get the proper education to get a job,
Yeah.
or to get a better job, or to better support the family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So factoring in all of those things, whatever someone calculates there, that's the amount of insurance that they need.
I love it. What if great, that's a great explanation. Let's say devil's advocate again, someone, you present all that to someone and it comes to that amount and it covers it. They're like, I can't afford that monthly payment. What is like, 'cause I know you hear that a lot. Like, I can't
Oh
afford
yeah.
that, or I don't, not even that you can't afford it. I don't want to pay for that. Like, what's your common rebuttal to that?
Okay. So I take a couple of different approaches at the end of the day. So once again, I'm the kind of person that likes to ask a question. So if we've gotten to this, yeah, if we've gotten to the point where we're talking about how much insurance you need,
Mm-hmm.
you're telling me things that are important to you. So by telling me that, oh, you can't afford that, well, okay, great. Let's talk about it, right? So what about it can you not afford, right? Because most of the time, I mean, I don't, me personally, I mean, I don't show, so a part of the process that I have. So the first part is education. Then after that,
Mm-hmm.
then we do what I call a financial lifestyle strategy, which is pretty much this form that goes into someone's financial goals, what their assets and liabilities are, what their savings philosophy is, right? Because I've got to
Mm-hmm.
understand someone's mindset on saving, because
Yeah.
you can't, whatever someone's spending habits are, you can't change that with a few convos. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
What their
Yeah.
expenses, yeah, what their expenses are, and then what their budget is, right?
Mm.
So I always like to fit everything within that budget, right? So
Yeah.
if we've gotten to the point where you're telling me that I see your budget, I recommend you something within your budget, then I start asking you, okay, well, you told me that it was important for you to take care of your family in the event that you were gone, and finance, and pay off the home, and I'll just start to list off a lot of things, right? So
Mm.
now it's on them to tell me, you know what, that's not important to me anymore,
Mm.
right?
Uh,
Because if that's right, yeah, because you're gonna sit here and tell me that it's not important to you, right? After does that make sense? Because
yeah.
a lot of people, how do I explain it? A lot of people assume that life insurance is a lot more expensive than it actually is. But you know what's more expensive though? The
The
cost
dying
of
one.
not having life insurance, death. Death is more expensive. We
Yeah.
live in such a microwavable environment where people like to get things quick, right?
Yeah.
They don't understand that, when it comes to like a financial home, right? Building a financial home on a good foundation,
Mm.
life insurance should be the very first thing, right? It
That's
should be.
that time right into a question because I was gonna ask like where does life insurance like rank, I guess, on like financial planning or like risk management for a family.
Well, yeah. So what most of America does is this, right? Whenever they get some good money, the first thing they'll do is buy a home, right?
Yep.
So most America, the first thing that they'll do is buy a home, right? Because
Mm.
why? Because America sells us a dream that home ownership is the American dream, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah. Which that's a topic, but you know, Anyways, no. It's funny.
Uh,
It's funny though. Whenever someone like, because I've already,
it's it's so it's I got a comment like I did the real estate stuff. It's so fun when someone announces like, oh, like I bought a house. I'm like, okay, you incurred debt, like you owe a bank
yeah,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
exactly. Like it's like, and then no, the rebuttal that I always give is, well, like, so that I'm not, I wasn't born in America. I was born in Guinea, West Africa, and we moved here when I was 3, right?
Yeah.
So the question that I like, the rebuttal that I always ask is, so if if home ownership is the American dream, then do you really think my family moved here so we could own a house?
I like
Like,
that. I like
like
that.
really, you really think we
Yeah.
moved here so we could own a house? But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So the first thing that most Americans do, the first thing
I
that
like
Americans
that.
do is they'll buy a house, right? Great.
Hmm.
So they'll buy a house. After they buy a house, then they might buy a car as well too. Okay. So after they buy a car, what they'll do next is they'll start putting money in their 401k, right? Cool. So get this. They'll buy a house before they start saving for retirement, right?
Mm.
Cool.
Yeah.
So now they start putting money in their 401k. Um, After they start doing that, then they'll start putting money into savings and investments.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing they'll do, if they even get to it, is get life insurance, right?
Mm.
So the reason why that's building a financial home out of sand is this. What happens when you start getting sick, right?
Mm.
What happens, like when you because a lot of the things that happen is like people will get sick, right? Because rising healthcare costs is one of is the number one stealer of wealth,
Yeah.
right? When people start getting sick, they start getting on disabilities insurance at their job because they don't pass away, but they start
Yeah.
getting disabilities from their job. That's 60% of your pay.
Yeah.
Most people already live paycheck to paycheck. So when you're already now you were already paycheck to paycheck. Now you're 60% of your pay. Now you got to start cutting back on a few things, right?
Facts.
Right now you're falling behind on your mortgage. Now you're taking money out of where? You're taking money
401k.
out of your 401k, right? So now you're taking the money that you're saving for retirement. Now you're dipping into that. When you take
Facts.
money out of that, if you take a loan from it, now what? Now you got to pay
Back.
interest back, right?
Yeah.
Or if you just withdraw the money, now you pay whatever you pay taxes at whatever tax bracket you're in, but you also pay a 10%, right? So that's
Facts.
typically somewhere between 35 to 40% gone,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
start taking money out your savings, right?
Yeah.
So like you can see how everything crumbles. Like now you got to get back your car. Now
Yeah.
you might have to foreclose on your home. Everything is
Yeah.
crumbling, right?
Yeah.
Great. Now, the way that people are supposed to do it is this, right? The way that most wealthy, well, not most, all wealthy people at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they do it is this. So they start off by buying life insurance. They get life insurance first because when they have life insurance, in the event that something happens, it covers them whether they die or they're alive. It covers them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain to you what I mean by it covers them when they're alive. But so and then after that, then they'll buy a home, right? Great,
Mm-hmm.
they'll buy a home. Then after that, they'll start putting money into investment, into a 401k and stuff like that. And then they'll start putting money into savings and investments,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So the reason why that right there is more sound is because in the event something happens to you, like in the event that you die, your life insurance will cover the home.
Mm.
Your family will be okay, right? If you have more than enough insurance, your family the insurance will cover the home, and then also the rest of that money for insurance, your family will be able to, if you remember the 10x rule that I said, you
Yeah.
multiply the income by 10, they'll be able to live off of that for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, if you don't pass away, right? How does life insurance cover you when you don't pass away? So, um, I'm gonna explain it to you like this. So, you have an Android, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So most people typically have an Android or an iPhone, right?
Yep.
That's like a huge fight in America in 2023, right? Android versus iPhones, right? So
Yeah.
regardless of which phone you have, they call it what? A smartphone, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because every year they innovate. Every year, and different Androids come out with a new version of the phone, and different iPhones come out with a new version of the phone as well too, right?
Yeah.
So they innovate every single year, right? So if if phone companies innovate, right, cars innovate too. They come out with a new model of the same. Well, yeah, they come out with a new model of the same car every single year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every 4 years they might just change like the facelift or the bumper of the car, right?
Yeah.
So if all of these other industries come out with, if all of these other industries innovate, then wouldn't it make sense that financial services companies innovate too?
Yeah.
Yes, right. So as of 2018, life insurance life insurance companies have um have provided what is called living benefits with every type of life insurance policy, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
not every life insurance company offers this, right? Because once
Yeah.
again, if you get life insurance through your job, they're not gonna offer that because they're paying for a portion of it. And whenever you get it through a job, and that's a separate topic as well too. But I don't always recommend someone to get life insurance through their job because if you read the contracts at your job, most of them will say, "Oh, in the event that you pass away and it's not work related, they're not paying out." Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then also they get to control the amount, right? They'll give you a $50,000 life insurance policy. Well, what is $50,000 going to cover if you make 180K or if you
Yeah.
make I mean, even if you make
Yeah.
50K, it means that your family will only live for a year without you.
Yeah.
What is
If
that going to
that.
do?
Because they going, like you
If
said,
that,
they're going to pay for the funeral, buy a house, and be done.
right, exactly. So, but yeah, if you get your life insurance at a car insurance place, like I talked about earlier, they're not really going to do it. You have to go to a life like a company that specializes in life insurance and retirement planning,
Mm,
right? So those are like some of the bigger companies that do that, which I'm not naming them all, but like for example, AIG. Most of the people know AIG.
okay.
AIG has a living benefits with every one of their policies. My favorite company, which is National Life Group,
Mm,
um, they do that as well too. American National Income, Lincoln Financial, and John Hancock as well too. Those are some predominant financial services company. But so what they offer is what is called living benefits. So
mm,
living benefits, what they cover an individual's life in the event that something happens, but they don't pass away, whether it's a critical injury or critical illness, chronic illness, or terminal illness. Okay,
mm,
so for example, I'll give a couple of examples. So I've had clients in the past. So I had a client in the past. He was a police officer. He was chasing a criminal. He hopped the fence, and he hurt his ankle. So he was out of work for 6 plus months because
mm,
he was out of work. He was able to initiate his living benefits, and he got paid out a certain amount a month.
mm,
I have a woman who was a client of mine, a single mother of one, and she was pregnant with one on the way. This was like late 2020, I believe. So late
mm,
2020, she got a very simple, cheap policy with me. It was $800,000 of coverage
mm,
because it was a term policy. She was only paying like because she was young and healthy. She was only paying like about 20, 25, $30 on it, right?
mm,
So for 4 months after that, she tore her ACL at work. Like she tore her ACL
mm.
and her MCL. So she obviously couldn't work.
Yeah.
Um, because of that, because she got a policy, she actually got paid out like 6 to 8 grand a month from her
Mm,
insurance policy, right? So it covered so she was able to cover her surgery, cover her cover like her therapy, cover her bills, right? Because you could like they'll legit just send you a check.
yeah.
And she carried that through until she recovered. By then she had given birth as well too.
Yeah.
So then after that she just like zipped up her policy. So pretty much all they do is subtract the amount they've given you, and now that's your death benefit, right? Yeah,
Mm,
so events like that. So let's say someone develops cancer and they don't pass away, but through that chemo and stuff like that, their they're whatchamacallit, the insurance a company will either pay you out monthly or they'll give you a lump sum depending on the stage of cancer you're in. So like you could legit get paid out, like let's say your coverage is 300,000, you could get paid out a lump sum of 200. A personal example of that. So my aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, but she has a policy, so we're working through like the claims right now actually. So
Nice.
which that's gonna pay out pretty soon, and then what you call it? Oh yeah, and then terminal illness. So an example of a terminal illness is for example someone who either has Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah.
Someone who has Alzheimer's or someone is in who's in a coma, right? So they're in a
Yeah.
coma in a hospital bed. Um, so their family, so because they're not alive when they're in a coma, but they're not dead either, so they can't initiate the death benefit. But there's a thing that allows their beneficiaries, so the people they list off as their beneficiaries, to make the choice on, hey, can we use some of the living benefits to cover, well, can we use the living benefits to cover while they're in hospice until we're able to come together as a family and make a decision on whether we want to pull the plug?
Mm, yeah.
That makes
Okay.
sense? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there, these companies have innovated, and that's where, if I'm being honest with you, that's where our counterparts are winning above, like they're beating us in that game, right?
Hmm.
Because most of the time, whenever someone gets sick, it's not the sickness that kills them.
Hmm.
It's the stress.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
stress because the minute you get sick, you're falling behind like
Yeah.
immediately. So yeah, and these companies have innovated to the point where they do offer a living benefits for Alzheimer's. And then one thing that I think is pretty cool, so a company that I work with called National Life Group, they actually offer living benefits. They call it a fertility benefit, right?
Mm.
So, for example, for women who have issues with getting pregnant and giving birth, whatever processes they would have to and procedures they would have to go through, you can actually use your living benefits, your life insurance, to cover all of that. To me, I think that's pretty
Mm.
cool. To me, I
Yeah.
personally think that's pretty cool. But yeah, so to answer that question, yeah,
Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Are there? We gonna try to end in like at least let's say 10 minutes.
that's
Are there any other like misconceptions about life insurance that you'd like to clarify, like other than like living benefits and like it's not a scam? Obviously, are there any other like things that people bring up or you hear a lot in your line of work?
yes. So one of the things that I hear a lot is, oh, I'm too young for life insurance.
Mm,
Okay, so once again, wealthy people buy life insurance the minute their kids are born. Why?
mm,
Because 2 weeks after a kid is born, like the minute a kid is born, you don't know whether that kid has whether that kid has an illness. You don't know if they have, like, if they get diagnosed with ADHD.
yeah,
You don't know if that kid is will be diagnosed with being bipolar. You don't know if the kid would be autistic. You don't know any of that, right? Like because they don't know any of that. It's
yeah,
over time, within the first 3 years, that as the kid develops, things like that happen, right?
yeah,
So the minute things like that happen, it lowers the chances for someone to get insurance, right?
mm-hmm,
But also, but also, as time go on, right? A lot of young people think that they're superhuman, right?
yeah,
The most unexpected things can happen, right? You can be healthy one day, the next thing you eat something bad, or you get into a bad car accident, and now you're screwed. Or if you're playing sports, you get hit wrong, and now you're screwed. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So the reason why wealthy people buy life insurance on their for their kids at a very young age is because that's the cheapest. Life insurance is cheaper when you're younger, and you can take advantage of it, right?
Mm,
Because the way they determine your rates for life insurance, is the biggest factor is your age and your health, right?
mm,
So the cleaner your medical records, the better. And other factors are like if you're into any like extreme activities. Like for example, if you have a job as a pilot or as a skydiver,
yeah.
or if you're an avid skydiver, it means you're putting yourself at risk to die more often, right?
Yeah.
Therefore it'll increase your rates. If you're a smoker, it'll increase your rates. Like
Yeah.
different stuff like that, and then also your driving history as well. So if you have a horrible driving history of getting pet tickets, it means that you're putting yourself in a position to you're putting yourself in a position to pass to get hurt. So those are things that factor in. But yeah, so and when you benefit when you take advantage of it when you're younger, you can actually take advantage of the other part of life insurance, which is the biggest part of life insurance, which is actually, growing money through life insurance tax free and building wealth
Mm,
through life insurance tax free, which is the other part of benefiting from life insurance when you're living, right? There's there's a tax code with the IRS called tax code 7702, right?
mm,
It's section 7702 within the IRS tax code with the government. It states that you can put your money in a tax free account. Your money will grow tax free. You can borrow against from it tax free whenever you want to. Okay.
mm.
Um, for all the people that love sports, there's a coach by the name of Jim Harbaugh, right?
Yep. Yep.
Jim Harbaugh, he's the former coach of the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, and the current coach for the University of Michigan. There's an article of Forbes, like this is literally all on the internet. Like I like to speak facts. Everything that I
Yeah.
speak, I get from facts or from a book, right?
Yeah.
So um, on this Forbes article, it talked about how he told the University of Michigan to pay his salary through life insurance so he can avoid paying taxes, right?
Mm,
Because that's a part of the tax code. You can put your money in a tax-free account with tax code 7702. Your money will grow tax-free. You'll never lose a dime if the market goes down, and you can borrow money out tax-free. That's why wealthy people like life insurance. One last thing I'll say there, what would the Rockefellers do? I'm not sure if
mm.
have you gotten a chance to read that?
I haven't. I haven't heard of
Okay,
it yet.
you should read it. You should read it. You should read it. So it talks about so obviously the Rockefellers are like one of the most wealthy families in America, and
Yeah.
they've been able to sustain that wealth for a very long time. The
Yeah.
reason why though is because they have so they have what you call it, they have like a pretty much like a huge like a family bank, right? A family bank, which their
Mm,
family bank is insurance, right? So they have
yeah.
a family bank of insurance, and whenever someone wants to borrow from that family bank, they have a certain, because this is where trusts come in, right? So
Mm,
they have to have a life insurance policy on themselves. They have to have a life insurance policy on their kids if they have
yeah.
kids at that point. They got to come with a business plan that works. Lawyers have to check it, and then once it's approved, then they can borrow however much money they want, and it has to go towards a business plan of some sort, because the standards they have for their family is they don't want you to be a bum, right?
Yeah.
And then a part of your death benefit, yeah, a part of your death benefit needs to go back to the family bank,
Mm,
right? So that's how they've been able to sustain this, right? But in regards to the insurance part, once again, they get insurance on their kids when they're very young, like the minute they're born. Like the minute a kid has a social security number, you can get insurance. I'm just being
I'm
honest.
weak.
I'm just being honest. Um, Another misconception, though, real quick, is oh, if I get insurance, my spouse will kill me, right?
Mm,
That's that's a huge misconception at the end of the day. Because in all honesty, like in all honesty, your spouse, these insurance companies do in like they investigate the way somebody dies before they give the money, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, there's certain laws in place. Like for example, if someone gets an insurance policy on themselves and they commit suicide within the first 2 years, it won't pay out, right? Because that was planned. If it commits suicide after 2 years, they'll investigate, but they won't pay out the entire amount. Okay, but that's within the contract, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's certain stuff like that where, like, if it's iffy, they're not going to pay out, or they're not going to pay out to that specific person. So, for example, let's say you get a policy, your spouse kills you for
Yeah.
that policy. Well, they're not going to pay out to your spouse because your spouse is going to jail. The problem, I'm just being
Yeah.
honest. They're going to pay out to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
they're going to do a lot of investigating at the end of the day. Okay. So yes, so that's another misconception. Um,
That's
and then
that's
yeah.
crazy though. How people actually ask you, like, I mean, say that, like, oh yeah, my spouse is going to kill me for
Oh
this money.
no, yeah. And I'm like, dude, like,
You got to
like if
leave.
that's and my thing is, okay, if that's what you really think about your spouse, then that's a reflection of you knowing, I'm not trying to get into anybody's business, but that's a reflection of you knowing how you treat your spouse. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm honest, right?
Yeah.
Because if that thought can even cross your mind, then you've done some stuff where you're not treating the best. So,
Facts.
or you probably even plan to leave your spouse. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Don't in that case, like, to me, but that's that's a different issue. And
Yeah.
then another what you call it misconception is that, life insurance is a Ponzi scheme, right? Or like it's a scam, right? Well, what I gotta say to that is, for people to even, like, for example, for me to even sell insurance, I have to have a state license, right?
Yeah.
You need a state license to drive, right? So are you telling me that the same state that gives you a license, is that a
Yeah.
scam? Like, so is your license a scam? You know what I mean? Like, is
Yeah.
your like a license a scam? No,
Yeah.
right? So if it's not, then how can, like why would the state partake in a scam? Why no? It's not even just a state thing. It's like a federal thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to qualify federally, because actually, if someone has had a felony or misdemeanor when it comes to dealing with money, they can't even get an insurance license to begin with, right?
Okay.
So with that being said, if that was really a scam, then hey, I mean,
Yeah.
it
Everything
means
is.
it means everything is a scam, exactly,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
means getting a real estate license is a scam. It means
Yeah.
the licenses that doctors need to get are scams too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, and those are some of, like, the biggest ones
Okay.
that I typically get.
Okay. I love it. Okay. Last question of the night, and we got part two
Absolutely.
tomorrow. What advice would you give to someone who watches the whole interview and they're still on the fence about purchasing life insurance?
So, the advice that I would give you is this: don't ever make a decision before the education,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, one, get with an insurance agent. It could be me. It can be anybody else. I'm not gonna promote myself, but get with an insurance agent that you trust. Get the education, right? Understand how it works. Great. Once you understand how it works, now you have better knowledge to make a decision on whether it's for you or not, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like to make ignorant decisions and then regret it,
Mm-hmm.
right? They
Yeah.
make ignorant decisions based off of emotion, when when in actuality, or based off of other people's experience, when that's not the case. Oh, my mother had insurance, it didn't work out. Okay, great. That's your mother. If your mother went to school and it didn't work out for her and she dropped out, does that mean school don't work for everybody? Right? You know what I mean? Like, does
Yeah.
that mean, if your mother tried real estate and being a realtor and it didn't work out for her, does that mean it's gonna not work out for you? No,
Yeah.
no, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So with that being said, get more well informed through an insurance agent who has a license that you can trust, right? And honestly, the way that you can tell you don't trust an insurance agent is when they literally try to sell you, right?
Yeah.
And, I was actually talking to a friend. A friend about like 2 months ago. Like it was a friend that we grew up together. Like we went to high school together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She was she was thinking about like getting life insurance, and she went through one of her close friends' parents, and the close friend's parents was like didn't explain anything, said, "Oh, you should pay this amount," da da da, like was, and they kept hitting her up all the time, and she
Mm.
just felt iffy about it, and she came to me because she knows that I do insurance because she's my content. I
Yeah.
sat down with her. I broke it down to her because my process is first I go through education, right? The
Yeah.
second thing is then at the end of the education I get a good understanding of what your budget is, what your financial goals are. I come up with a
Yeah.
plan, and then I present it to you and I explain in depth. So then now that gives you the power of, okay, so I know that this can help me get to these goals, but it can also protect me. Is this something that I can do? Right. So
Mm.
by the third time we sit down, we just put in the application at the end of the day. So I'm not the type of person where I don't like to hit somebody up about stuff because at the end of the day, and as you know in sales, you can't convince anyone to do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
present them with the evidence, and then you let them make the choice,
Facts.
right? I've sat with individuals where they, they said, you know what, it's not for me right now. Okay, great, that's fine. You
Yeah.
know, not everything is for everybody, but once again, the way that you could tell that you trust an insurance agent is if they literally try to sell you or not, if they try to pressure you.
Mm.
And that's not just for insurance, that's for like sales in general. Like if
Facts.
someone's literally trying to pressure you into getting something,
Yeah.
it means that long story short, they're coming from the wrong place.
Yeah.
They probably need one rule of thumb, and I'm sure you can agree with this: don't
Yeah.
do business with people that need it.
Yeah.
Don't do
Yeah.
business with people that need money. If you do,
Facts.
that's
Facts.
bad business.
You feeding an empty stomach.
Exactly, exactly. So, but yeah,
Facts.
and then once you have all of that, then now you're in the place where you can decide on, okay, can this benefit me right now, or can benefit me with the things that I want.
Yeah. Okay. I love it, man. This has been a great discussion. Tomorrow, guys, we got part two. Obviously, he's is it called a broker?
Broker, insurance
Okay.
broker. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's so it's similar to real estate, and we can talk about it tomorrow. But it's similar
Yeah.
to real estate where you can insurance agent, right,
Mhm.
and insurance a broker. And I'll go through the tomorrow. I'll go through like the different levels of how you can even get involved in the in the insurance industry, in different perspectives and stuff like that.
Definitely. So tomorrow, today was focused on if you guys are looking into buying insurance. We just want to give like a holistic overview. Tomorrow is if you want Bokar is a phenomenal entrepreneur, and he gonna tell you about how to sell insurance. Like simply put, like this is a channel on entrepreneurship and like career 9 to 5ers. So it's like we're gonna cover a little bit of everything. Bokar, before we leave, give a shout out to like I know you got a lot of social media profiles and that kind of stuff. Just give a shout out to yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, thank you, Will, once again. I'm
So,
excited for tomorrow as well.
so
If you guys want to catch me on social media, so my Instagram and my TikTok is Bokar Diaby _ So that's at BOKAR D as in dog IAB as in boy Y _ and that's on TikTok and on Instagram. On Facebook, just type in my name, Bokar Diaby. I'll come up there, and then my YouTube channel that I recently started. It's the New Standard Financial.
nice. I love it. I'll put all of it in the thumbnail. Thank you again, Bokar. I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all comment, like, and subscribe. Have a nice night.
Absolutely.